Welcome. Today I will be paraphrasing, summarizing, and sharing for the September 7th Al-Anon readings, Encouraged to Change, and a little time for myself. We'll begin with the Serenity Prayer and 3 mindful breaths. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. I will take a moment and look this over. The question is, how does practicing detachment improve my relationships with others and with myself? And this person is talking about their history, their familial history with mental illness, suicide, alcoholism, and how this person's daughters were struggling with depression and addiction. And when they came to Al-Anon, they found an amazing amount of knowledge and support. They learned about detaching with love. They learned about letting their daughters focus on themselves, and that this person realized that their only job was to simply love them. And this person says that Al-Anon taught this person that it was important that they allow their daughters the dignity to work things out for themselves. Today's reminder: detaching with love means we focus on ourselves and we change what we can within ourselves. And the quote is from Detachment. We let our loved ones experience the consequences of their own actions. We focus on ourselves, on our attitudes. So how does practicing detachment improve my relationship with others? Well, it's like such a simple question, and it's such a huge answer, really, because it's been so impactful for me, which is, it's not going to sound huge, but in practice, it is huge. Detaching helps me to mind my own business, to not judge another person, to just be able to be loving and compassionate, and people respond very positively to that. I know I respond very positively to that. When I'm being very authentic and truthful and vulnerable with somebody and they respond to me with love and compassion and gentleness, faith in humanity, like just joy and peace. It's just such a beautiful, beautiful feeling. And that's Al-Anon every day, but I'm talking about outside of Al-Anon. So that's the really good part, is that people don't feel that I'm meddling in their business. They feel like I'm, not judging them, not being involved when it doesn't involve me. And I haven't brought up my parents in a while, but they're both getting over COVID, and as I've mentioned, they're in their mid to late 80s, and it's really important that I'm involved, but and with my stepmom's dementia, it's really, and I call them my parents just because it's easier, and my stepmom is, even though she's technically not a parent, she's a parental influence, and she has been since I was 13, which is a very, very long time. So I give that honor to her. I call her my parent. but um, but with her dementia, she's starting to, she's a very sweet, loving, kind, like she's always been stable. Her personality is changing a little bit, and I see her being very stubborn with my dad. And it's challenging. It's challenging to see that because she's not in control of her behavior and her mind. And it's just tough. But what is mine? What in that situation is mine? What is mine is to love them and be as supportive as I can in a healthy way. I think that's it. So I can do that. But it's the other stuff, that I just think about, like things like, oh, it's so unfair. This shouldn't happen to people, and as soon as I get into thoughts like that, I'm trying to control something that I can't control. I'm fighting what is. And that's true suffering, is resisting what is the cause of suffering. And I don't want to do that. So when I find myself getting into that pattern, I just stop and think of something else, like how grateful I am that I've had her in my life for so long. And up to this point, she really has been so amazing as a maternal figure in my life. And I'm so grateful. She provided for me what my own mother couldn't. Amazing, miraculous. And my dad experienced a very lovely marriage for over 30 years. I would say there are still, you know, twinkles of it, but for the most part, things have changed. And things are always changing. So, attitude of gratitude. All right, I'm going to take a minute and look this over. This passage opens by talking about Tradition 7, which is about every group being self-supporting. And this person says that their former home group, uh, was maintaining itself financially, but people weren't committing to service, and the group ended up closing. They're mentioning that it's important that we make contributions to our groups, both in service and financially, and that it helps healing ourselves and others. Today's reminder is talking about the importance of service and the contribution it makes to our home group. And the quote is from Al-Anon, A Day at a Time. Again, it's talking about monetarily making donations, and it's also talking about service, doing service, which can be moral support or it can be service positions, like being the secretary or being the treasurer, things like that. I think it's important. Obviously, I rely on Al-Anon. I will probably always rely on Al-Anon, and very grateful for everyone who contributes to supporting it in time and money. And of course, Al-Anon is quote unquote free, but I remember when I went to an in-person meeting, I would give $1. Everybody, like most people, would give $1 at the end of the meeting when the basket was passed. But now what I do, because I go to online meetings, is I write a check on my birthday every year, and I donate to the group. And I've heard people say that $1 isn't enough. And I was thinking of increasing my contribution, but I know that I think it's really based on the individual meeting. Like my Al-Anon meeting is pretty big, and I think we're doing fine financially, so I don't think that I really need to do more than $1. But when it comes to my OA group, it's a much smaller group, and actually I do give like much more. I give like $5 a meeting because it's a very small group, and they still have the expenses of running a meeting. So it's a very individual thing. We'll close out with the Serenity Prayer and 3 mindful breaths. Here we go. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Thank you so much for joining me today. I look forward to seeing you again tomorrow. Sending you love. Take care.